racing fans, welcome to another day of racing. It's a 2-day carnival. Please remember that on Sunday it's a mandatory payout. You have to choose very carefully. As you know, normally on a Sunday, you have a lot of upsetters. There are a lot of fit horse that normally will be lurking around. And if there is rain, there's also some horses that enjoys the wet condition, and there are some who definitely does not like the mud. So you have to look out for those kind of horses. However, let's move on to Saturday's program. First race, we have a 11 horse field. Post time is 11:50 a.m. It's 4 furlong straight. There are a lot of suspect here, so we have to go with multiple choices. I'm going to boil it down to 6 of them. 1, Use Me Goodbye. 2, Sudden Flight. 5, Matriarch. 6, Blade. 8, Undecided. And on the outside, horse number 11, Boss Easy. Use Me Goodbye. This horse has a lot of speed, however, just not holding the gallop. Drawn post position 1. Coming down the straight, I don't like horses coming from post position 1. However, this horse is very sound, and you can look out for Use Me Goodbye to either on that lead or possible could be running on based on soundness, but you can't leave Use Me Goodbye out of race number 1. 2, Sudden Flight. This horse very consistent, not been doing badly of late, beaten by sounder horses in his last couple of races. However, what is interesting is that this horse has been at the track and has been cantering, and if you look at the work on Saturday 21st, 4 in 51 flat by 107.3, which tells me that Sudden Flight is sound enough and can win this race. 5, Matriarch is another horse with some amount of speed, has been beaten by sounder horses. However, if the right Matriarch turns up, this horse can win also. So don't leave Matriarch out of your exotics. 6, Blade, a lot of speed also. However, Blade is a very short runner. This is 4 furlong. So once this horse reported fit and sound enough, Blade has a fighting chance. Pretty Shakes now calls on to take off some of the weight. Look out for Blade to be challenging somewhere on that lead. 8, Undecided. This is a very fit horse. Has some amount of ability, beaten by better horses. Enjoys galloping over the straight course. Anthony Hallin now replaces Clunis, and you have to give Undecided a shot also. And on the outside, horse number 11, Boss Easy, enjoys galloping over the straight. Not the Boss Easy we know, but the race is so poor, and Boss Easy has a shot also in this race. However, I'm gonna go with horse number 2, Sudden Flight, to get the better of horse number 8, Undecided. Then for third, Use Me Goodbye, who is very fit and sound, Boss Easy, and Blade and Matriarch to round off your superfecta I5 permutations. Moving on to race number 2. Numbers of 4 imported, 4 is on up. Numbers of 3, 5.5 furlong, a field of 6. This is a very competitive race. I'm going to go with 4 of them. 1, King's Crown. 3, Justin Big Time. 5, Miss Cherry. 6, Smart Trick. King's Crown. This horse, very consistent. This horse, on the last occasion, was beaten by Main Mistress. Third by 12.25 length. Before that, 5th by 9 length when beat by Midnight Flight and Smart Trick. Radish Roman maintains the ride for the 5th consecutive occasions. King's Crown is coming to run and will be right there at the finish. 3. Justin Big Time was in that same race with Main Mistress. Was right up in the pace. Ended up second by 6 lengths. Before that, third by 3.5 lengths when beaten by Midnight Flight and Smart Trick. Justin Big Time is very fit, consistent, knocking at the door, and I expect Justin Big Time to be fighting this one all the way. 5. Miss Cherry. This horse has a lot of ability. On February 25th, this horse was third by 6 lengths when beaten by Allegiance and Mac and Rome. And on last occasion, this horse was 5th by 2.5 lengths, beaten by Prince Aman, Riches to Rags, and Immeasurable Joy. Miss Cherry is a dangerous horse. Tyrese Anderson now replaces Velasquez, 50.5 kilo. The trip is just about right for Miss Cherry. Has a nice work on the 11th of the 6th, 3 furlong in 36.3, and on the 22nd of the 6th, 2 furlong in 25.2. I expect Miss Cherry to sit just off the pace and should be close enough to pounce where it matters most. Horse number 6, Smart Trick. Where's the Henry? Calls on now. Was in that same race, beaten by Main Mistress, 7 by 18 length. Weaken. Smart Trick is very speedy. We'll have some competition on the headline, like with the likes of My Sunshine. However, we all know Wesley Henry is a very good rider when riding from in front. And Smart Trick is good enough to hold on. Picked up some weight though, so I'll have to go with horse number 5, Miss Cherry, to get the better of Justin Big Time, King's Crown, Smart Trick in that order. Moving on to race number 3, optional claiming, 500,000 to 400. They have a field of 8 7.5 furlongs. I'm gonna go with 4 of them. 2, Regal and Royal. 3, Maya. 4, High Diplomacy. And on the outside, 8, Heroine. Regal and Royal. This horse has tumbled down the claiming ladder. Last couple of races, this horse was at overnight allowance and race at the $1 million claiming company. Now down to 500,000 is the lowest I've ever seen this horse race. However, hasn't raced since September 8, 2024. Might need a race or 2 to straighten things out, but Regal and Royal has ability, and I won't be surprised if Regal and Royal should beat these. 3, Maya. Step up in class after that win on last when beating the likes of Casual Peach and E&I Lynx. This horse likes to have a strong pace ahead. Don't leave Maya out of your permutations. 4, High Diplomacy. This horse raced at the 500,000 claiming company and last when beaten by Solar Black and Shiboom. This horse is very fit, has some pace, have speed. Raman Gordon, the apprentice, now calls on 50.5 kilo. All High Diplomacy has to do is to go to that lead and should be able to hold off the challenges of the late closer. And on the outside, horse number 8, Heroine. This horse has some amount of speed also. Should be on the headlines. However, with the likes of Regal and Royal and High Diplomacy present, I don't think Heroine will have things her way, but has ability. Nicholas Siebert is now calls on to do duties, heroine as a shot also. However, I'm going to go with horse number 4, my firm choice, High Diplomacy, to beat Regal and Royal, Maya to be flying home, heroine. Moving on to race number 4. It's a maiden event, 5 years and up, 4 furlong straight. This is another race that a lot of suspect here, so you have to go deep. 10 of them, I'm going to choose 5. 3, Nina Dorado. 5, Queen's Anne. 6, Silver Fox. 8, Monaco. And on the outside, horse number 10, Lady Katahara. When you look at the makeup of the race, it looks like a 3-horse race. Queen's Anne, Silver Fox, and Monaco. But I'm going to throw Nina Dorado in. The fact that this horse is very speedy and normally runs well when fresh. And also horse number 10, drawn on the outside, and this horse is working, which tells me that this horse is very sound. And in these kind of races, you have to go with horses that are sound, have to give them a look in. So 3, Nina Dorado. This horse is very speedy. Although we have matching speed here, once this horse is fit and sound, then Nina Dorado with 49 kilo should be fighting all the way through. 5, Queen's Anne, very disappointing horse. I have tipped this horse on many occasions. This horse not getting her head in front. However, what is interesting is that they have no call for Radish Roman, and this horse is somewhat down the claiming ladder. And on the 22nd with 6, strode 3 furlong in 40 and 4. So I think Queen's Anne is now cherry ripe and should be in the top 2. 6, Silver Fox, 1 and last, beating the likes of Millennium Star and JJ the Striker. That was a very poor race. However, Silver Fox, I think is sound enough. Very fit right now. Although gone up in the weights, has ability, and Silver Fox should be right there all the way through. Horse number 8, Monaco. This is the horse I like to win this race. Although finished lame and last, when beaten by Isa Lion, I think Monaco is ready to give off his best now. And drawn post position 8, I think Monaco is the horse they will have to beat come Saturday. 10, Lady Katahara. As I earlier indicated, this horse is very sound. Drawn post position 10. You have to look for the horses that are very sound in these kind of races. Therefore, I'm going to go with horse number 8, Monaco, to get the better of horse number 5, Queen's Anne, Silver Fox, Lady Katahara, Nina Dorado. If the legs hold out, could create an upset. Moving on to race number 5. It's a claiming event, 1.5 million down to 1.2, field of 10, 5 furlong straight. I'm going to go with 3 of them. 1, Press Conference. 3, Milos. 10, Sensational Move. Press Conference. This horse, you could say, has a lot of ability. This horse is now down to claiming company. Enjoys galloping over the straight. However, coming from post position 1, that's the only takeaway for me. But Press Conference is so fit right now that you can't leave Press Conference, because I'm pretty sure Press Conference will be flying home in deep stretch. 3, Milos. This horse have a lot of back class. This horse has pace. Enjoys galloping over the straight. Milos with Richie Shakes takes the weight down. 52.5 kilo. Don't leave Milos. And the horse I think they will all have to beat is horse number 10, Sensational Move. One of the $1 million claiming company, and last when beating the likes of Milos and Sugar Daddy. On that day, this horse won by 4 lengths. And if you look at the split, 23, 34, 3, 46, 3. Anything beats sensational move will surely win. There are some other horses here with some speed, such like Ridgeliner, Posing Already, and Talona. But those are all short runners. You can add those to your superfectas and high five. However, in the 5th race, I'm going to go with horse number 10, Sensational Move, to get the better of horse number 1, Press Conference. Milos running off the superfectas, Ridgeliner, Posing Already, Talona. Moving on to race number 6, it's a maiden, 6.5 furlong. We have a field of 14. I'm gonna go with 4 of them. 2, Duchess, 7, Roaring Kitty, 9, Miss Brayton, 14, Mineola. Duchess. This horse is somewhat of a disappointment. On the 23rd of May, this horse ended up 9th by 36 lengths when beaten by the likes of Bob the Builder and Cup Car. Both horses came back, run very decent. Bob the Builder ran a very good race in the Guineas, and Cup Car came back and won. You have to give Duchess a look in. On the last occasion, second by 3 lengths when running on when beaten by Woman in Love. Omar Walker maintained the ride, although picked up some weight, 56.5 kilo. I think Duchess is fit enough and ready for a win. 7, Roaring Kitty, 4th by 12 lengths on last when beaten by the likes of Bob the Builder. Cheek piece now on. Please note the equipment change. Brian Lewis calls on. Does a nice little work on the 15th of the 6th, 3 furlong in 36.3. 6.5 furlong, I think, might just be the right trip for Roaring Kitty, because I'm sure Roaring Kitty doesn't have much early pace, but will be coming on in deep stretch. Don't leave Roaring Kitty. 9, Miss Brayton. This horse has been knocking at the door. This horse ran some very hard races. The last time this horse ran, when beaten by Alive, was 3rd by 9.5 lengths after walking out the box. Alive came back, step up, and ran a brave race behind Lockdown. So if you draw a line through that race, Miss Brayton has a glorious chance of winning this race. And the outside, horse number 14, Mineola. This horse has been knocking at the door. I think finally the door might open come Saturday. Aladdin maintains the ride. Picked up some weight, however, 56.5 kilo. But this race is so poor that I think Mineola has a glorious shot. So any one of these 4 horses can win this race. However, I'm going to go with Duchess. Duchess to get the better of Miss Brayton. Then Mineola, Roaring Kitty to be flying home in deep stretch. Moving on to race number 7. It's a good prospect trophy, 6.5 furlong, a field of 8. I'm going to go with 3 of them. 1, Coastal Living. 5, Enthusiasm. 8, Khaleesi. Coastal Living, beaten by better horses in the Guineas. However, this is a much easier assignment, and Coastal Living should be fighting all the way through. 5, Enthusiasm, ran poorly in the Guineas also. However, this is another easy assignment for Enthusiasm, and I expect a much improved run. This horse looks promising after finishing 3rd by 14 lengths behind Prolific Prince and Big Buzz. Basically, you could say flopped in the Guineas. However, I think this horse was reprogrammed by Anthony Nunes. Enthusiasm should be right there. 8, Khaleesi. This is a horse I think they will all have to beat. This horse ran very well, prominent for the first 6 furlong in the 1,000 Guineas. In the Portmore Stakes, this horse prominent for 7 furlong behind Social Aviator and Burning Edge. Paul Francis maintains the ride, and I think Khaleesi is now cherry ripe and should win this race quite easily. So I'm going to go with horse number 8, Khaleesi, to get the better of Castle Living, Enthusiasm. For your superfecta, you could try Simply Enchanting and Woman in Love. Moving on to race number 8. Non-reserve 4, imported. 5 is on up, non-reserve 3, 5.5 furlong. Field of 11. This race very competitive. There's a lot of speed in this race. And there are a lot of stalkers. And there are a lot of run-on horses. However, I'm going to go with 4 of them. 2 Arias Reign. 4 Wayne Princess. 7 Princess Rhea. 8 Loyal Action. Arias Reign. One and last, when made all, going 5.5, when beating the likes of Princess Ifya and Kismet. This horse has a lot of speed. 5.5 furlong is just about the right trip. I expect Arias Reign to hook up on that lead alongside Princess Aquila and Princess Rhea. Kismet to a lesser extent. However, Arias Reign has enough pace, can fight off these. 4 Wayne Princess has been knocking at the door. Radish Roman maintains the ride for the 3rd consecutive occasion. Although the trip now 5.5 furlong, there is so much speed in this race that could set it up nicely for Wayne's Princess. Very dangerous horse with a sneaky fox on board. Princess Rhea is another horse with a lot of speed. Very speedy. This horse won 5 rounds on 23rd of February, beating the likes of Sky Rizzy and Kismet. Prior to that, 11th by 21 length, didn't raise a gallop, but on the last occasion, finished 7th by 10 lengths when beating the likes of Liable when stepped up in class. On the 22nd of the 6th, 4 in 51. So Princess Rhea is coming to run. Ricardo Carr, this jockey, needs to just break, hold this horse together, don't get into any trouble. Princess Rhea will be a dangerous horse. Number 8, Loyal Action. This horse has been knocking at the door. Very disappointing with this horse, but you still have to give this horse a look in. This horse have pace, have speed. Galloping over the course is not a problem. Going around the bend is not a problem. Therefore, you have to give Loyal Action a shot also. However, I'm going to go with horse number 2, Arias Reign, just to get the better of Princess Rhea, Wayne's Princess, Loyal Action. Folks, this race can go either way. For your superfecta, you could put Manislam and Princess Aquila. Moving on to race number 9, George Harrison Senior Memorial Cup, 6.5 furlong, a field of 11. I'm going to go with 4 of them. 1, Cherry Blossom. 4, Golden Lawyer. 6, Military Light. 11, Never. Cherry Blossom. This horse came off a long race and won on the 31st of May. Won by 4 lengths, beating the likes of Lucky Papa and Alke Bolan. On the last occasion, this horse broke slow and still managed to finish 2nd by head when beaten by Design Diva. Once Cherry Blossom breaks, I think Cherry Blossom should go right to that lead. Demar Williams on board, 50.5 kilo. Cherry Blossom, although stepped up in class, I think Cherry Blossom is good enough to hold off the challenges of the late closers. 4, Golden Lawyer was in that same race when beaten by Design Diva. I think Golden Lawyer is getting fitter and fitter. Has a nice stick of work on the 21st of the 5th and on the 29th of the 5th, 5 in 1054. Golden Lawyer can win this race. Therefore, you can't leave Golden Lawyer out of your bet. 6, Military Light. This horse has been knocking at the door, running some very useful races, has been beaten by horses with a lot of speed. Therefore, Military Light will be coming on and it's good enough to catch the front runners. Never, very consistent. This horse has been running very decent races, has been beaten by the likes of Rock Them, Provident, Hit and Run, just to name a few. On the 22nd of 6, 3 furlong in 37.3. Never is very dangerous and should be in all your bets. However, I'm going to go with horse number 1, Cherry Blossom, who I think have a little more pace and more scope for improvement to get the better of Never. It's going to be a very close race. Golden Lawyer, Military Light, running off your superfecta, the improving successful man. Closing out the day's program, 10th and final. Imported 5 is on up maiden, 5.5 furlong, a field of 14. I'm going to go with just 3 of them. 1, Xyphonic Steel. 2, Money Box. 4, Tequila Flight. Xyphonic Steel, very consistent. This horse has been beaten by better horses such like Ridgeliner, Manouche, the Hot Dancer, Blitzstrike, just to name a few. This is a very poor field. Omar Walker replaces Robert Alladine. Coming from post position 1, I think Xyphonic Steel have enough speed and pace to go to that lead, and I think this is the horse they will all have to beat. Money Box, this horse runs some pretty useful races. However, I always find 1 or 2 better than her, sorry. However, Radish Romance maintains the ride, blinkers off, tongue tie on, so you know Money Box coming to run. There's a nice little pace work. 7 furlong 1:43.4. Money Box will be right there. And outer in this race is horse number 4, Tequila Flight. Was in that same race with Real Identity, prominent for the first 5 furlong. Ended up third by 14 length. So Tequila Flight wasn't far off from Money Box in that race. So I intend to give Tequila Flight a shot also. Has some issues. However, the handicap horses always have a hedge in most occasions. So I'm giving Tequila Flight a shot as my little outer in the last race. However, I'm going to go with horse number 1, Xyphonic Steel, to get the better of Money Box. Anything to beat Xyphonic Steel, as I said, it will be Tequila Flight. Running off your superfectas, Body Move, Shine for me. I'm going to switch things up a little bit, and folks, I'm going to try and give you my best 2. Persons have been asking for my best 2. So I'm going to give you Miss Cherry in race number 2 and Sensational Move in race number 5 as my best 2. And as I said, I'm going to tip Tequila Flight as my little outsider of the day. That's it for me, racing fans. Continue to like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Best of luck. See you at the races.